Okay, so let's kick things off. Welcome to tonight's session once again. Tonight we're going to demonstrate our trading platform as well as our equities subscription research. So the idea is really with the research subscription, we'll give you a bunch of tools and some ways of analyzing stocks, recommendations, and then we'll show you the means of being able to trade those recommendations into the marketplace. The key difference here, guys, we're not going to just cover Australian shares. We're also going to cover US shares and how to place a trade into the US market and how we're competitive in that space as well. So once again, there's a Q&A box there. Don't hesitate to ask questions along the way. Let's get stuck into it. Now, before I go any further, don't forget that any advice contained within this presentation is general only, so it doesn't tailor to your particular circumstances. You need to decide for yourself whether it's appropriate to you. Okay, so tonight's presenters of myself, Tim Michaelides, and I'm joined by my colleague, Sam Green. Sam is an equities analyst and a derivatives advisor. We've been working alongside each other for maybe 8-9 years now. So yeah, we're both long-serving employees in the business. Sam is a great equities analyst. He knows a lot about the Australian and US markets. He's got so much knowledge in his brain, it's not funny. He blows me away some days, honestly. Yeah, Sammy's there. So say hi.
Well, thank you very much for that lovely introduction, Tim. And yeah, thanks for having me on tonight. And thanks to those of you online watching from home. Really hope you enjoy tonight's session.
Fantastic. So the idea tonight, Sam's going to go through the scoring system that he's developed, and we offer that scoring system in our research subscription as well. So we're going to talk to that in a lot of detail, and then I'm also going to run through our screeners, how to pick a stock using our screeners. I'm going to shoot across and then demonstrate the trading platforms and how to place a trade into the market. Just a little bit about myself. I started off in the business also 9 years ago. Started off as a trainer and worked my way up to being an advisor. And then now I'm head of the trading desk and general manager in Emerald Equities. So been around for a while. I've been educating people how to trade for a very long time. And we saw an opportunity here to start Emerald as a different business to what we're doing in our sister business. I'll explain that in a moment, in helping people how to learn how to invest and create some tools to, help people save a bit of time and become a bit more efficient with the markets, okay, using our scoring system. All right, so a bit about us, guys. Okay, so you'll see the name Emerald Financial. That's who's presenting tonight. There's also Trader Circle, which is our sister business. Trader Circle's been around for a very long time. Would have to be 16, 17 years now. So yeah, Emerald Financial basically was founded by the group of traders and investors from Trader Circle. Okay, our mission here is to bring the best user experience to customers through education, customer service, and using the best available tools. The purpose of Emerald Financial is to help everyday people to get involved with equity markets. To do this, we've provided a recommendation service with clear exit and entry timings built in. What that means is when we're saying we're getting in personally is when we're going to send a recommendation out to you guys to get in. It's not that we're going to go send it to a bunch of people first and then tell the world we're buying, okay? Only our subscribers get our recommendations and you know when we're getting in. So our recommendations are always going to fit our guidelines, and more times than not, they're found using the quantitative scoring system that we're going to demonstrate tonight. Trader Circle is our sister company and has been running for over 15 years. Trader Circle, we focus more on shorter term styles of trading the market. We use derivatives like warrants and options, and typically will only be in a trade for maybe a few weeks or a month. Trader Circle, we run a lot of courses, and we have been, that's what that business was founded on, is running training courses and support services for traders. So, with the success of Trader Circle, we have come out with a second product, which is the Emerald product. And as I said, that's more longer term focused. Okay, so what we're aiming for is those longer term investors that want to build a bit of more of an active portfolio. So not really just buying and forgetting about the stocks for 10 years. You know what I mean? Like, we're talking about more of an active management style where you might be looking at different ideas on a weekly or monthly basis. With our recommendations, we aim to put out a couple of trades every fortnight. Okay, so maybe one a week. But with that, it's an average, right? So some months you might not get any ideas from us whatsoever because the markets are falling. We use a combination of fundamental and technical analysis before we put a recommendation out. So we do aim on average to put out a couple of trades a fortnight, but that varies, okay, depending on what the market conditions are and what's happening out there. But look, the reality is equity markets are far more volatile than other markets like real estate. But the advantages here is the costs are so much lower and the returns can be much higher for those investors that stay attuned with the current market narratives. And honestly, the last year has been fantastic. Like, we had the big pullback with COVID, and from that really sprung a fairly predictable market. It was, there's the things that were going on in the background. It was very easy to see the narratives, and we went from a stimulus-driven recovery to then being a reopening recovery. And if you're in tune to what sectors and what stocks do well in those narratives, that's where you can quickly and be a little bit more active in your portfolio to get that better return. And that's what we're about. We're about trying to put those ideas out to you as we see them. So we give daily market updates. We have sentiment gauges on those updates as well to help you navigate timing of entries and exits and things like that. So when our sentiment indicator is low, you want to hold off on the buys for a little while. If our sentiment indicator starts getting a bit higher, then that's signaling the market sentiment's getting stronger, and it's an opportunity to start looking at your buys and what your buy list looks like. Look, that's what we're about, guys. Okay, essentially. Now, like I said tonight, we're going to show off our new screeners. Okay, we've just waiting. We've got our latest update coming into our subscription service. That should be coming out next week, and that's what I'm demonstrating here tonight to all the members that are already there, and then also people that are looking to become members. Okay, so what I'm going to do first, though, because a lot of our screeners are based on these quantitative scorings, okay, I'm going to hand straight across to Sam. I'm going to get Sam to explain what these different scores are and give you a bit of a rundown of some of the key features in our subscription. From there, I'll come back on a bit later on and talk a little bit more about the trading and how we pick stocks using these scores. So I'll just hand the presentation over to Sam. Just give me one moment.
All right, beautiful. Thank you very much, Tim. So Tim gave you a brief glimpse there of our scoring system, or at least some of the scores. So I'm going to basically run through in greater depth what these scores are, what they mean, and how they can be used. And just very quickly, I'll also show you that we do keep a list of the top scoring stocks right on the homepage here, right on the front page. So you don't actually have to go all the way to the screeners, although I'm sure you'll see a bit later, they are very, very useful. So we start basically up the top here. If we want to see a particular stock, we just type the code in into the stock search. You can search for Australian and for US stocks up here. And this will open up the stock page. Each Australian or US listed stock has a stock page, and it has general data, that you can find on a particular stock. The description, basic financial information, and then you can actually go into far greater detail with some of the fields and things that we have, if you are that way inclined. However, our aim was for investors to be able to pick out their investment ideas themselves and pick them out effectively and quickly. And if you're looking at, all the financial information for a particular stock, you're not going to be able to cover a whole lot of stocks. So one thing that we decided on, and something that I'm actually extremely proud of, is we decided to combine all of that financial information into a proprietary rules-based ranking system. And from that, we created our Emerald scores. So these scores are designed to show you how a stock performs or is expected to perform in a given category. Each of these scores is ranked out of 100 compared to their peers on the market, with 100 being the highest. So only the top very few will score actually 100, and it will work down from there. We have 9 different scores in total, and you can see them here. The first score is the dividend score. This basically shows you the relative level of dividend yield, how likely that dividend is to be sustained, the dividend payout ratios, for example, the consistency and growth in paying those dividends. So companies that score really well from a dividend perspective might be really good yield investments. We also have a quality score, which is a measure of the size, strength, and stability of a listed company. A company that has very high stock liquidity will also score very well in the quality section. Next, we have the price momentum score. So this price momentum score is designed to show how much bullish movement a particular stock has had over recent history. Now, if a stock scores low from a price momentum perspective, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It could be an indication that the share price is undervalued, for example. If it scores well on every other metric, but the price momentum is low, it could perhaps be an indication that the market is undervaluing that particular stock at the moment. So price momentum, how it changes, what it comes in at, that's one of the ones we pay very, very close attention to. A maturity score. This is a measure of how large, stable, and mature a business is. The blue chips, the stalwarts of their particular industry, will score highly here. So, if a company is a very large incumbent, a high maturity score will be seen. We have an all-weather score, and this basically shows the consistency of their performance, how well they've performed during downturns, how well their financial results have been during times where other companies' results have fallen off. We have a credit score, which rates the general creditworthiness of a business relative to their level of debt or, their ability to service debt. We have an earnings score, which is a measure of how much earnings the company makes relative to its share price. And we have a growth score, which measures, past, current, and future expected growth in the business. And finally, we total all of these up and we rank them against all the other stocks on the market and come up with a total Emerald score. So these are the 9 different scores that we have. We're pretty sort of comfortable and confident with how they've played out so far, but we do tune them from time to time. So for example, initially we started off just covering Australian shares, and we've added US shares over time, and we've had to tune them slightly just to make them more comparable, because some of the reporting metrics and things are a little bit different in US markets. The other thing that we do is we actually chart the total score over time against the share price over time. And what this means is it basically gives us a potential leading indicator of when something has underperformed relative to the Emerald score. So we can see that at the start of October, this chart is on roughly a month-by-month basis. At the start of October, the Emerald score for this stock, JB Hi-Fi, started pushing up, whereas the share price still remained quite weak. And so that was something that sort of, rang a few bells, in our office effectively, or metaphorically, I should say. And so we knew to have a look at JB Hi-Fi. So so that's basically what we did. We came across and we had a look at JB Hi-Fi. So we actually go through a lot of stocks in our discussions, and each and every day, we meet and discuss many things. But once per week, we also open it up to individual investors. So every Thursday at midday Eastern time, we run a webcast with our members, and those members can come in and chat about the things we've been looking at, perhaps the metaphorical bells that have been going off in our office, and also to ask us to look at things they've been looking at as well. So each Thursday, we bring the investors in and we have a discussion. We run through the market. We run through, the bells that have gone off metaphorically. So we'll cover the charting, we'll cover the technical analysis of these stocks, but importantly, we also cover the fundamentals of these stocks. We run through, recent fundamental changes, recent technical changes, and we discuss whether they're worth considering for an investment. An interesting thing that we also like to do is we open the floor to individual investors for stocks that they suggest. And if they suggest the stock early enough using this window, we'll research the stock and have some commentary on it, some additional commentary on it in the webcast. So yeah, if you were a member, you just basically come up to the news and commentary and join the webcast. So, but going back to JB Hi-Fi, it was one that effectively we looked at and we basically discussed fairly heavily. That it was coming up, the numbers were rising, the share price was still relatively low, and even though it was a market that perhaps was being sold down at the time or was being sold down at the time, it still fit our rules as a recommendation. And so we basically put it out as Australian stock recommendation. And if you click on read more, it'll bring up the JB Hi-Fi recommendation page. So this is our recent recommendation on JB Hi-Fi. We've got the introduction analysis, which is a run through of basically the things that we've looked at that have caused us to put it out as a recommendation, a quick summary, and then we've got our full research and data report. For those inclined, you can go through and come out and have a look at all the particular data points that we were looking at. All right, so essentially that's what triggered us to look at JB Hi-Fi. But we do a bunch of recommendations. So we've got a whole heap of Australian recommendations that are open at the moment, which are these ones here. You can come to this by going to recommendations, recent results Australian. These are our open ones, and these are the Australian closed recommendations. And if you ever want to go back and read the rationale for opening or closing, you can down below. Something that we've started doing as well is we've come out with US recommendations. So this is something that it took a little while for us to get our processes attuned to, get our numbers attuned to, and we're starting to suggest trades or investments in the US now. A few years ago, it was very difficult for Australian investors to gain access to US markets. It was very difficult for an individual to hold shares in Tesla or Facebook or Amazon, but that's definitely changing, especially since maybe the coronavirus period. There's been really big leaps and bounds made in trading accessibility for Australian investors. That's something that Tim's going to touch on later, but it's also something that we got asked by a lot of clients. Can you provide information on US stocks? Can you provide recommendations on US stocks? Can you suggest them to us? And that's something that we now can do, something that we now do. So we provide the data pages just like we do on Australian stocks. We provide them for US stocks, and we provide recommendations now for US stocks as well. So on top of that, we have a very substantial amount of news and commentary. On each stock page, you can see just the ASX announcements by default, but we also have our own news and commentary. We go through a lot of announcements each morning, and we summarize some of the most important ones or some of the most interesting ones that we see in the day's market, and we put those out each morning. We also provide in my opinion, an extremely substantial morning update that basically gives you every data point that you'd need when looking at the market each day. So our morning update, I believe, is one of the most comprehensive morning updates out there for Australian investors, and I'm just going to run through it quickly now. You can access it up here on our front page, or it is down in the market update section as well. So our morning update begins with sentiment gauges. These are again quantitative data points that basically point to whether the data is improving or getting worse. And we can see that given the strength of current earnings seasons, or the recent one here and the one in the US, we have a very high quantitative sentiment and earnings sentiment. But the advisor sentiment here, which is a combination of our advisors and their feeling on the market, that has started to come off a little bit. You can read a introduction, which is basically a summary of everything that happened that was noteworthy overnight and perhaps what to expect locally today. We have a quick short, medium, and long-term outlook, and we have a quick run through of what's happened in global markets over the last day, month, year, and this introductory paragraph or three really gives people a quick, brief introduction to what to expect in the day's market. If you do want a more substantial look, you can scroll down. You can get information specifically to Australia today, sector breakdowns for Australia, dividends coming out of our market today. You can come down and read a quick introduction to US markets, look for the US charting, a sector breakdown of what's happened in US sectors. We also offer commentary on Asian markets, breakdown of Chinese markets, as well as commodity markets. We also basically keep track of iron ore prices by ourselves. We have our own iron ore price charting. And the simple reason for that is a lot of iron ore charting out there is either extremely delayed, a month delayed or so, or it's incomparable. And what I mean is they use futures contracts that they roll over without telling people, or are not really comparable to previous contracts. We've got currency information, and we've got bond market information. And this is another one that's quite important as well at the moment. We've got US and Australian government bond yield curves. And what this chart is essentially showing us that the yield curve has risen here in Australia and in the US over the past month and year. And that's something that's really seeing a lot of commentary in financial markets at the moment. It's being attributed as the reason for a lot of movement in financial markets at the moment. All right, so I just thought I'd run through some of the features there that we present on the website. But yeah, like Tim was alluding to, I think one of the things that we're most proud of at the moment is the screeners and how they combine with the scoring. So I might pass it back across to Tim to run through the screeners.
Perfect, fantastic, Sam. Just give me one moment. I will share my screen. Okay, so you should be able to see my screen there. Is that correct? Okay, so I'm just going to get into that, guys. Sorry, I wasn't too sure whether that worked or not for a second there. Okay, so first things first, John, thanks for your question there. What is your percentage per annum do we average? Okay, so while Sam was talking, I quickly went away and calculated that. So if I just take into consideration our closed positions, our current return is 35%. Okay, if I also calculate in all open positions, that comes down slightly to 26.39%. We started our first recommendation in this service middle of last year. Okay, I hope that sort of answers your question. So, yeah, over the past year and a half, the return's been fantastic. All right. But obviously,
I think just to quickly clarify that it's not a management service as well, John. We are presenting ideas, but if you do want help with managing your own money, that's something you can talk with us about.
Okay, so obviously these returns will all be dependent on which one of these or all of these trades that you do. When we put trades out, by the way, we don't, recommendations out, we don't expect people to do every single idea, right? If we suggest 5 material stocks, doesn't mean you should do all 5 material stocks. It just means that material stocks are showing, entries to our guidelines, and we like them at the moment. You still have to manage your own weightings and your own diversification, making sure that you have positions across different sectors and different markets. All right, so what I want to demonstrate here is one of the key features of the subscription as well. All right, so outside the recommendations being one of the key features, the scoring and the screeners are also a part of that as well. And what this does is it eliminates you spending a heap of time looking at balance sheets and different financial ratios and things like that, because it's already programmed into the scoring. So the idea is you got your quantitative analysis here, and then you use this to screen through different markets, find a bunch of stocks in a sector that you like. So you're honing it from, there's 6,000 stocks in the US that we cover. You can hone that down really quickly in a sector, find 3 or 4 that look really, really good, and then go do some technical analysis and some qualitative analysis to then go, okay, well, I'm going to jump into this position. Okay, so that's the whole idea of this. Now, the first example I'd like to show is an Australian example. Okay, so let's just say you're looking for the best dividend stocks in our market. What I can easily come and do is sort the Australian stocks by dividend score. And dividend score is going to show me stocks that offer a strong dividend, but also a very healthy payout ratio, which means that the chances of them being able to continue to offer that type of dividend is good. Right, so automatically you got Fortescue up there. Okay, Fortescue was scoring at 100 for a very long time until obviously iron ore fell off, and that's brought that down to a 70. So what I want to do here, guys, is look at what's the best dividend stocks that also have a high Emerald score, because the Emerald score ticks off all of these. It means that across the board, all of these scores are strong versus their peers. Then I get to choose whether I want mid, small cap, micro cap. What am I interested in? Am I just interested in large, well-established businesses? And I'll keep it on large cap. From here, I can easily pick my sector. So if I want just banks, okay, what are my banks looking like? Out of my large cap banks, these are my best options. Okay. So then NAB comes up as the best option there, being that it's got the stronger dividend and it has a fairly decent score. Okay, obviously ANZ's up there as well, including CBA. So that's a very quick and easy way of finding, out of the banks, what's the better dividend stock here. You might want to go across to, materials and do the same thing. Fortescue, too much into iron ore right now. I'll probably, ignore that for the second till iron ore calms down. But BlueScope could be a very good pick here. Okay, they're very well positioned as a steel producer. So, this is what I mean about then, going and digging a bit deeper. So I can then simply just click the stock code on the left-hand side there. And look, this is our staging website, guys. Okay, so this will go live next week, right? So just give me a second. I've just got to log back in there. I left this open for a bit too long. It's timed me out. And that may not take me back to where I want to be, but I'll just quickly search that up. Was BlueScope we wanted to go into. And don't mind the speed as well here, guys. Once again, this is just a staging website. Once these features all go live to the main website, things will speed up a little bit. So then we come in and we can hone into the stock. Okay, so we can just read up on the stock, what's been happening. You can see the historical movements in the scoring versus the share price. You can see how many analysts are covering this stock, what the price target is right now, and whether it's a buy. What's the general consensus out there? Dividend information. You got your key financial summary information. If you want balance sheet, it's there. If you want sector analysis, it's there as well. Okay, so you can dig a little bit deeper if you want to, but you don't necessarily need to. Okay, so that's an example of using it for an Australian stock, for instance. Now, let's just say we want to have a play around in the US markets. The first thing you can do is just jump straight into the screener and just filter the whole US market by Emerald score. And that's the key score. And just see what's scoring really, really high at the moment. From there, you can start filtering down a bit more. So, once again, if you just want large cap, then if you want a particular sector that you're interested in, you can do that as well. Okay. So out of the larger cap sort of stocks, give me the best scorers. And, you got Hershey Chocolate there, you got Target, Oracle Group. I was trading that a little while ago based on the back of these scorings. But out of the banks, you got, Goldman Sachs is sitting there as well. All right. And this just gives you the ability, like I said, to hone in. All right. So the 6,000 stocks on the US, guys, that's a lot of stocks. So how do you hone into what are the better performers right now? And this is just purely from a numbers point of view. Okay. The earnings score and growth scores, they're looking at, how well has the stock performed, and then also what are the analysts out there predicting for the near future. So we look at the analyst expectations across the earnings, and we score against that as well. So we're taking into account the sentiment out there amongst the analysts. Okay, and that's what I love about using things like this. So the other way that you could do things is instead of just looking at the Emerald score, you start going, okay, well, what's got the best earnings at the moment? And let's just look at earnings. Well, Target's had a great earnings period. Then when we go away and do a bit more analysis, we've got to say to ourselves, well, what's the chances of that continuing? You know what I mean? What's the next 2 years going to bring for that stock? And that's where that qualitative analysis needs to come in. Do I like the sector? Do I like the stock? Is it well managed? The way the trends are at the moment, is that stock going to continue to perform well? They're the questions I start asking myself. Okay. So one of the key examples, here is Microsoft. Okay. That's been scoring well for a while, and that's been also performing quite well. So from here, guys, if I want to have a look closer at these stocks and trade them, what we've actually done is we've teamed up with a company called Interactive Brokers. Okay, so you can sign up to an account with us. Okay, that account is opened with us. We will help you. We're your advisors. We're your contact person. You won't be contacting Interactive Brokers directly. We will use Interactive Brokers as a platform, and we'll team up with you to trade through them. The reason why we do that is we can provide extra services. Okay, so we can provide recommendations. You can go trade them. We can provide support on how to use the platforms. And that's what it's all about, guys. And that's what we've always been about. That's what Traders Circle was born from, was from service and support. And that's what we carry on through to here. If you're having problems with the platform, we can help you place the trade. Okay, we're not just a pure online trading service that if you have a problem, you either got to wait half an hour to an hour on the phone to get somebody, or you got to talk to a chat bot. Right? We're real people. We're trading desk. There's 6 of us on the trading desk at any one time to take phone calls, to answer emails, to answer the chat boxes. We've got them too. If you want to contact us through the website, but we can give that extra bit of service that you won't get directly with Interactive Brokers, if that makes sense. Okay, because they're more of a pure online play. So what I want to demonstrate here is just this, let's say we like Microsoft, right? MSFT is the code. I simply come in and I log into the client portal, and that's what this client portal, this is paper trading mode, guys. Okay, so I'll just refresh that to make sure, because it has been sitting stagnant for a little while. I'll just refresh there. Okay, so it's just as simple as typing in the stock code up the top here, guys, right? So this is the online platform. This is the web-based platform, okay? So you can just log in from any web browser, Apple, it all works through there as well, okay? So it doesn't matter what type of laptop you have, okay? You can just log on through a web browser here. So look, guys, it's as simple as searching for the stock, okay? That comes up with a chart. Here you can do a bit of basic technical analysis, draw your trend lines, things like that. Okay, that comes out to a full screen chart where you can go out 5 years if you want to look at 5 years worth of data, etc., etc. Right? So this has got your full technical analysis with all your indicators and things that you like. Okay, so I've got a stochastic indicator set up down there. There you go, right? So this is where you come in and do a bit of TA. If you want to place a trade, it's quite simple, okay? All you do is hit the trade button up the top here, put our code in, all right? So straight away, I could just come in and adjust my quantity, put my price in. So if I'm happy to put in, a price of 324, I'll go above market 325. Okay. Obviously, the US market's not open at the moment. All right. You got quite a few different order types here. All right. So limit order means that you put the limit price in, which I was just doing. Okay. But you can also just go straight to market, okay, if that's what you feel comfortable with. For me, I like to put limit orders in, okay, because if something crazy happens on the open, I don't want to be paying the highest price of the day, right? So I much prefer to have a limit on that. But what I love about this platform, guys, is the order management types are fantastic in that you can put your profit taker order in, you put stop losses in. They're very easy to place, okay? So if I want to set this trade as a good to cancel, okay, this will go in good to cancel. So it means it'll go in every single day until it gets filled at 325. All right. Then I can put a profit taker order in that will kick into play if I get filled. All right. So let's just say I'm happy if the stock went to $330, which means I make a 500 USD profit. I'm happy to take that profit. Okay. I want that profit taker to go in until I cancel that profit taker order. And then if I want to place a stop, well, let's just say I don't want to lose any more than 500 USD on this. Then I would place my stop order in at 320. Once again, good to cancel, submit buy order. Okay. All right. So obviously that order is not going to hit market straight away, okay, because their market doesn't open until midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning our time. Okay. All right. So basically, yeah, just get past a lot of this sort of questions. I can explain. I don't want to explain all that now. I'll just that's asked you about using their algo and things like that. All right, so that order is now sitting ready to go. If we want to have a closer look at what's going on with that order, we click on trade, orders and trades. Okay, and we can see here my Microsoft trade pre-submitted, waiting for the US market to open. Now, what I love about this platform, guys, it's really effective for us Australians in that I don't have to get up tonight and have a look at this order. Okay. They've got a smart algorithm that if there's not a good bid or ask there, so if you're trading small cap or micro cap stocks and there's not a good bid or ask there, they will hold your order off the market and place the order in at a fair value if you use their algo. Okay. So the algo is really cool and it's great for options trading too if you guys are interested in options. I trade options through this as well, and I use their smart algo to help me place my orders. And I set up my orders before I go to bed, and I check them in the morning when I wake up because the US market's still open for an hour in the mornings when I get up. So, it's the same thing with stocks, right? With daylight savings for you guys that have got daylight savings, the US market closes at 7 o'clock. So you've got a bit of time there between 6 and 7 to do some trading if you're a 6 o'clock riser. So it's very achievable. You can do all of your trading in the Australian time using those stop orders and profit taking orders and that sort of thing as well. All right. Okay, so that just sort of demonstrates that. One thing I want to just sort of show here as well is coming into the portfolio window. Let's let that load. It's kind of a bit funny. I think I might just have to jump out and log back in, guys, because I've been sitting too dormant. I literally had this set up an hour and a half ago, so I might just log out and come back in. everything times out after a while. That's looking a bit better. Much better. Okay. So let's go to our positions. So you can see all the positions I've got here. Like I said, this is a paper trading account. All right, so the unique thing with interactive brokers compared to a lot of other platforms out there, guys, is that the currency side of things. All right, so one, I can easily transfer currency over. I don't need to do this. They will transfer currency from Australian to USD if one of those trades get filled. Okay. If I want to do it manually, I can also do that. Okay, and just enter my amount up here to the currency I want, and it'll transfer it over quite easily. Okay, and you got a decent basket of currencies that you can get across to. All right. So if I just want to put that 10,000 over, I can do that very easily. Okay, just submit that across, and away you go. All right. So you can see live. That's already happened. Okay. Now this is where you can control your currency depending on, if you sell out of a US trade and, you're a little bit worried about the US dollar, you can move it back to AUD. Or if you're worried about AUD, you can move it straight across to USD. So if depending whether you're long AUD or USD, you can move the currency around really easily. Now, doing that with other providers can be very, very expensive. The big difference with us is we do not charge anything on currency conversion. When you trade, we don't charge anything. And when you convert currency, like I just showed you, we don't charge anything. Okay. Now, everybody has to pay the spread, if you know what that means. Okay. So with everything, there's a bid and an ask. Okay. Now, with currency, sometimes there's 1 or 2 bips. Okay. Which is only a very small amount. I'm going to demonstrate that in a moment. Okay. So look, if you've got any questions about the platform, let me know. I'm going to go across and just talk about the fee structure here, because we're very unique for the US market in Australia, okay, and what we do and how we charge. So one thing I just want to explain here in trading the US market, and I'll go through US first, and I'll talk to the Aussie rates in a moment. But this is us in green on the left-hand side. Okay, so basically on a US trade, our minimum charge is US $2, okay, or 0.005 of a cent per share. Okay, so half a cent per share. Now understand, US shares, a lot of your mid and large caps are over $100. Okay, God, I think Tesla hit over 1,000 the other day, right? So you generally speaking aren't going to be doing thousands of shares or anything like that, and that's why they charge in that way. Okay, now this example on this fee structure is based on JP Morgan at $147 per share, and at the time the exchange rate was 0.73. Okay. All right, so basically, if you bought $1,000 worth of JP Morgan, you'll be paying $2. Our FX fee is only 20 cents. Therefore, AUD, you'll be paying $2.94. Okay, so we convert that back to Australian dollars here. I've just forgotten to put that in the total column that was meant to be put in there. Now, if we compare us to CommSec, for instance, their commission fee is $19.95, and this is online, by the way. This is DIY. This is you placing the trade yourself. They're charging $19.95. But not only are they charging this, they're charging a FX fee, okay? And they charge this FX fee on every trade that you do. All right, so a company like CommSec that charge on every single one, what that means is every trade that you place at $1,000, you're paying $33.33 Australian to do that trade. Okay, so they're very expensive compared to us, guys. Okay, there's a huge difference here. Going across the NAB trade, same sort of thing, but $14.95 getting in. They charge, anywhere between 0.5 to 0.8 bips. So to 50 to 80 bips, okay, of the trade value. All right, so 24.48, ANZ's even more. South Wealth is a little bit different. Now, the FX fee is charged only when you change currency. So if you do a bunch of US trades, you're going to get charged on the first time you go and purchase those trades. When you sell out of those trades, your funds can stay in USD. So if you trade a second time round, okay, you won't have to you won't be charged the FX fee. And this is the thing, different companies do different things, okay? One of the newer providers that have come out in Australia is called Stake, and this is straight from their website. So they explain it quite well. They charge 0 brokerage fee, okay? ComSec, $20, but they charge a FX per trade, where Stake only charges it when you deposit or withdraw money, okay? But let's talk about that for a second. What does this 70 bips mean? All right, let's compare them to us, right? Because they're $0 and we're $2 US to trade. All right, but let's compare, right? So if I come down here, we've got an FX fee calculator. Let's just say you're going to do a $10,000 trade, okay? The currency, I think it's a little bit more than that right now, but let's just leave it there. That doesn't matter too much. They're charging 70 bips, okay? So what does that mean, really? Okay, well, that $10,000, if you got the exact currency rate, which we'd almost do with us, you'll get 7,300 USD to trade with out of your 10 grand. Okay, that converts to 7,300, but they're charging their 70 bips, which means you're actually only getting 7,230 because they're going to take $70. Okay, now $70, guys, on your first trade. Do the maths on that for a second. If you're only paying $2 with us, you can do 35 trades, guys, before you get to that $70. All right. Now that might not be exactly, all right, let's call it 2 bips on the currency conversion. Okay. You're only paying $2 away. Yeah. All right. So if I want to be exact here, 70 take 2, that's $68 divided by the $2 per trade. You get 34 trades out of us before you even reach the currency conversion fees. So $0 brokerage isn't necessarily as attractive as you think it might be. You need to read the fine print. You need to find out how many bips on moving your money around they're going to charge. The great thing about us, guys, and what we're doing with our webcast and with our commentary, we talk about currency. We talk about whether we think that the Australian dollar is going to go up or down, which means that's going to help you trade in and out of the currency, and the currency fees are very, very low with us. So you've got the ability to not only just trade the stock or invest in the stock, but manage your exposure to the different currencies without getting huge fees. If you're a big player in this, guys, okay, and you're putting 50K across, okay, you're losing $350 just transferring stock around. Once again, where's your 0 brokerage? I much prefer to know what I'm paying, which is the $2 or the half a cent per share. Okay. And this is why we've teamed up with Interactive Brokers. We could have teamed up with many other US brokers and that. These guys, they've got heaps of different platforms to choose from. Okay. So we can offer, and we do offer, a phone app with them. We can offer the web browser version of an application. And then there's also the downloadable application that you can use, which is this one here, that has the full-fledged 2 screens and you know, the ability to customize and huge watch lists and all that sort of stuff going on, right, for the more advanced people. You know, so, you know, at the end of the day, this is why we've chosen Interactive Brokers, okay? There's a few other things that we probably should scratch on here about Interactive Brokers and why we've gone for them, okay? And one of the main reasons is, you know, it's not just a US platform, guys, okay? You can trade 135 markets over 22 different countries, okay? So you've got access to world markets. It's not just US, which means if we're so inclined to put out a recommendation in China or in the UK, or even in Japan, we can do that, help you get set up with Interactive Brokers to access that market and go for it, right? So, you know, as things evolve and, you know, the world's evolving and, you know, one thing might be happening here in the Australian market might be lagging, which it is at the moment because materials are being hit around a bit with China. Other parts of the world could be thriving and we can access that. Okay, so over time, we will do other world markets and things like that when ideas come up. But the other thing is as well is that Interactive Brokers is a large platform. Okay, they're a very well established company. They've been around for a very long time. They started operating in, I think it was 1978 or something like that. It's very established. Okay, 9 billion in equity capital, 6.5 billion in excess regulatory capital, which means they've just got that capital sitting there to make sure they're covering their risks. Okay, they're a listed company in the US with a 25 billion market cap. In 2020, they saw a revenue of $2.2 billion. And they've had a history of strong, consistent, positive earnings. Now, a lot of these free platforms out there, guys, go have a look at their earnings. They're not doing that well, right? And understand something, all US trading is custodial. Okay, even if you're trading with one of the big established brokers here in Australia, an Australian broker, if you're trading the US through them, it's still on custodial because all US trading is done through custodial. Okay, so if you think you're trading HIN into the US, you're not. Okay, even though a lot of people think that's the case. I've spoken to so many people. I've spent a lot of time trying to explain this to them. It's custodial, which means that you should be looking for the more well-established, profitable companies to trade with. It is that little bit safer, right? There's much less of a chance of something happening to that company, and therefore your holdings will be a little bit more secure. Okay. All right. So they're the reasons why we've chosen Interactive Brokers. The biggest taker for me is the FX fees. Okay. I do not like, as a trader, as an investor myself, I don't like hidden fees like that. Okay. I like it in front of me on my statement every night. I know what I'm being charged. It's very, very clear. Okay. I don't like this zero brokerage, but behind the scenes, I'm going to get charged $350 to transfer money around. All right. So this is a lot more clear cut. We offer two options, guys. Okay, DIY, right, which means you're placing the trade yourself. No assistance from us. You're taking care of it. Okay, and we're very, very cheap on that side of it. Okay, if you choose DIY, you're not going to get a lot of service from us in placing trades. Okay, if there's something's wrong with the platform, we can step in and help you. No problems at all. But the onus is on you. If you're a little bit less tech savvy, okay, or you're a bit time poor, then you can use our advisor assisted service as well. The advisor assisted is minimum $30, okay, which means you're probably going to be paying $30 all the time. All right, the way the fee structure works. You can see here it's $30 all the way up to 50 grand. Okay, you'd have to get some pretty big trade sizes before you're going to kick in to that 0.5 cent per share scenario. So we're also very, very competitive in that space, guys. Okay, so if you want an advisor assisted trade through ComSec, you're paying $60. All right. So that's US. If I go across to the Australian market, you can see here that the Australian market, we're also very competitive. Okay, so our minimum is $6.60 or 0.088% of your value of your trade. So that means you're paying $6.60 all the way up to 10 grand. All right, so you don't kick into that percentage until you get a bit over that amount. Okay, but even a 50K trade, which is a fairly decent sized trade, you're only paying $44. Okay. So we're very reasonable in that respect on the DIY. And then with the advisor assisted side of things, once again, $33 or 0.22, and it's only $110 for a 50 grand trade versus 245, 275 or 200. Okay. South Wealth don't offer advisor assisted at all. So you don't have a trading desk you can call with those online, pure online. So, if you want online, we've got it, $6.60. We're very competitive in that space. We're not the cheapest out there, but we're nowhere near the more expensive range either. We're very cheap for the service we give, okay? And you are, if you're contacting our desk, you're contacting an experienced desk. We've been doing this for 15 years. We know the markets very well, and we can very easily jump in and help you sort your orders out. Okay, so that's the trading side of it. Like I said, there's 3 platforms to choose from. You can make it as complicated or as simple as you want. I showed you in the client portal how simple it is. Okay, you just jump in here, hit the trade button, put your symbol in, place your trade. You know, we're going to release a bunch of videos on how to do this as well. There's already some videos on our website demonstrating some of this, but we'll also come out with an education series shortly where we'll slow things down and we'll have a full online education series you guys can go through if you need that as well. But, you know, you've got us to lean on, okay? All right, so that's the trading side of it, guys. Look, I'll just quickly jump across and talk a little bit more about the subscription side. So basically what we do with the subscription side of things, you get everything that we showed you before, okay? Stock news, the recommendations, the scoring. You know, the scoring's fantastic, guys. Honestly, that's even helped me on my trading side of things using options in picking stocks in the US to trade. It's been really, really good. You know, we charge $82.50 a month, okay, or $890 a year, which brings it down to $74 per month plus GST. Okay, the prices are also very good here compared to many of the other providers and research houses out there. Okay, I know a lot of research houses out there that are charging $140, $120 a month. We're coming in at $82.50. And we've been able to do that for a few reasons, okay? The way we've teamed up with Interactive Brokers means we've been able to structure things in a way where we've been able to bring our costs down. When we first launched Emerald Equities, we launched at $140 a month. And because we've been able to team up with Interactive Brokers to provide data, we've been able to bring that down, okay? And you don't pay for data with Interactive Brokers if you're happy with 20-minute delayed. For most investors, that's okay. All right, so 20-minute delayed, those 3 platforms I was talking about before are absolutely free. You don't have to pay for the platform. There's no inactive fees or anything like that. You can just sign up and away you go, right? Yeah, so look, guys, you know, if you want to get involved, what I suggest you do, okay, as I said before, we don't have what I just showed you with the US scoring is not live quite yet on the Emerald website. It will go live Wednesday, Thursday next week, okay? But the trading side of it's ready to go today, okay? What I suggest, if you're interested, just type in book to the chat box now. I'll get Jared to give you a call. You should touch base with Jared. He's great. He helps people find the right product for them. Okay, so he's not a sales guy that's going to shove product down your throat. Okay, he's not one of those financial guys that are going to call you every week and bug you and try and sell you into some obscure product. Okay, he's going to talk to you. He's going to find out what you're doing, what your goals are, what you're trying to achieve, and then he's going to suggest the right product to what you're talking to him about. If you're interested in short-term trading, he's going to talk to you about trading courses. If you're trying to set up a portfolio, he's going to talk to you about this. If you just want the trading services, he's going to help you set up an account with us. Okay, so if you're interested in anything I've talked about tonight, just put book into the chat box now and we'll get him to give you a call. Alternatively, guys, if you want to go in and just start opening an account, I'll put the link in the chat box now, okay? Just come across and start your account here, all right? Only thing you need to be aware of is whether you want to go for the more advisor-assisted services or the DIY pricing on your account, and we'll set you up with that fee schedule. But please, guys, if you've got any questions, I know I've gone through a lot of information tonight. But if you've got any questions, please shoot them through now. Otherwise, we will finish things up. How's that? Perfect. Pretty much smack bang on an hour. Done well there. Managed to get through all that in the time we promised.
Absolutely, and it was an awful lot to take in. So if there is anything that you guys want clarity on, definitely type it out. Always happy for questions.
Yes, Carlo, thanks for the question. Yes, so if you are an existing Interactive Brokers client, you can transfer across. If you want to just shoot across an email or give Jared a call, like I said, we can explain over the phone how to do that. There's a process that you need to do when you log into your account that you need to, there's just a few buttons that you need to press. Request us as the advisor, and then we become your advisor on that as well. So correct. Yep. So that's absolutely right. IB doesn't provide assistance. Okay. So if there's something wrong with the platform, if you're trading directly with them, and obviously your trade doesn't go to market or something goes wrong, they'll help you there. But in the sense of using the platforms and things like that, you're completely 100% alone. Okay. So they don't provide that type of assistance, or nor do they provide any full service type assistance like that. They're just an online provider. The great thing is they also let people like us team up with them, that we can provide the assistance and use their platforms. Okay, any more questions, guys? Okay, so good session. Thank you so much for listening in. And yeah, we'll catch you next time. We will start running frequent webcasts for Emerald, a bit more topical next time. We'll be talking a bit more about our view on the market and giving it a lot more demos on how we're using the scorings to find stock ideas. Have a great night, everyone, and bye for now.
Thanks, guys. Bye for now.